Do you have ITB syndrome? If you do, this video is for you, so let's take a look. ITB syndrome is a condition where you can have pain along the outside of your knee. It has to do with your iliotibial band, which is what the ITB stands for. And what can happen is when this piece of tissue, which is on the outside of your leg, is really tight, it can restrict movement, leading to that painful snap or clicking that you feel on the outside of your knee. Now, the biggest mistake that people do when they're facing this issue is that they tend to take a foam roller and they'll massage out the ITB. But what you actually find is that it doesn't actually help to relieve knee pain too much. And this is because you're foam rolling a non-contractile tissue. What I mean by this is that the ITB is actually an inert tissue, which means it doesn't really contract. It just tenses up based on the contraction of the muscles that attach onto the ITB. So when you're foam rolling out a structure, the main point is to get a contractile tissue or your muscular tissue to relax, because it contracts and then therefore it can relax. But an ITB does not contract, so it does not relax. So you're just foam rolling for no reason, putting yourself through a lot of punishment for no reason. So instead, today we're going to go over exercises that will target the muscles that attach onto the ITB. We're mostly going to focus on the gluteus medius muscles, the gluteus maximus muscle, and the vastus lateralis muscle. These three muscles are some of the largest muscles that attach onto your ITB. And by influencing how well they behave and how they control your movement, you can decrease the amount of tension you feel outside of your knee. The exercises that we'll be doing are going to be mostly strengthening focus, as strengthening these muscles can actually decrease the amount of tension or pull that they put onto the ITB. This is usually kind of one of the things that gets ignored because people think tight ITB, stretch, and foam roll. But the thing is, those two types of exercises will have a limit to how well they'll improve your knee condition, as they won't cause any long-term benefits through those other muscles that are involved. So without further ado, we'll start with our first exercise, which is the sideline side kick exercise. All right, so this exercise is made to target the gluteus medius and maximus muscles in hip abduction. Hip abduction is a super important role in the hip and related to the ITB, as the ITB works through hip abduction to stabilize the knee from the outside. So what we're going to do is just strengthen these muscles so that they can function to the fullest extent that they need in order for you to do the activities you love. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to lie down on your side. Now I'm going to do mine on the bench, but you could just do this exercise on the floor, a bed, a yoga mat, doesn't really matter. Just make sure it's a flat surface. From here, I'm just going to use my bottom arm as a pillow for my head, just so I can relax my upper body. And I'm going to have my top leg straight. The bottom leg could be bent or straight as well. I like to have it bent just because it acts as a better base of support. From here, you're going to make sure your thigh is in line with your torso, and then you're just going to raise your leg to the ceiling. Now, I know this exercise looks super easy for you, for me to do, but a common mistake that people will do is they'll actually lift their leg forwards in front of them. So you want to pay attention to what you're doing with your leg. If you're looking straight down, you should see that your body's in line with the leg and that your leg is not kind of crooked forward. The other thing you want to keep in mind is while you're doing this exercise, that your foot and toes are facing forwards, if anything pointing downwards towards the ground and not towards the ceiling. If you point it up towards the ceiling, you're going to be using another muscle called your TFL instead. And this muscle is not really going to be as strong of a supportive muscle when it comes to kind of strengthening the muscles that control the ITB. So be sure to keep that leg in line with your torso and raise your leg up. The other common mistake that people tend to do is they tend to hip hike all the way up here because they're just thinking about trying to raise that leg up as high as possible. But you don't want to be doing a side crunch through your torso, because this is just going to stress your QL for no reason, your quadratus lumborum. So be sure to keep this pelvis level down. You could use your top hand to kind of hold it in place and raise that leg up towards the ceiling. What you're aiming to do is get about 45 degrees of hip abduction. So if this is 0 degrees, which is parallel to the floor, you're going to raise it to at least 45 degrees up, okay? And when you're doing this exercise, you also want to make sure you can contract that and you're holding it strong. So I like to hold this exercise for about 5 seconds. You're going to feel the burn in these hip muscles, and then you can come back down and repeat. Now, after about a week or two of doing this exercise, you're going to start finding that this exercise is pretty easy. So at that point, you could take a loop band, just loop it around both of your ankles and repeat this exercise. Just be sure you're not going to be cheating by having this leg forwards, having this foot facing upwards, or having your hip hiking up towards your chest. All right, so next we're going to be working on another exercise. We'll take a look right now. All right, so this next exercise is an RNT exercise, or reactive neuromuscular training exercise. And the purpose of it is to stimulate your outer hip muscles to stabilize the outer aspect of your knee. So you're going to need something like a monster band, like I have one here, and you're going to need to be able to anchor it to something that's about knee height. So that could be a squat rack, a door anchor, you name it, just use whatever you got. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take that monster band and we're going to loop it around the outside of the affected knee. From there, maintain a little bit of tension so that the band is not completely slack. And you're just going to stand on that one leg. So I'm just gonna roll up my pan here so you can see my knee a little bit better. You can either have the band above or below the knee. You can even have it on the joint line, but that tends to be the least comfortable. Not that it's dangerous or anything. From there, I'm going to lift my other leg off the floor. So I'm in a single leg stance and I'm going to do a single leg half squat. So I'm just going to kind of squat down on one leg here, go about half the distance to the floor and then straight back up. And I'm going to just kind of keep repeating this. This is going to get my vastus lateralis engaged. It's going to get my gluteus medius, gluteus maximus, even my gluteus minimus engaged a little bit. You can kind of stabilize that lateral line. Lateral just meaning the outer part of your leg. You're going to do anywhere between 10 to 15 repetitions. Just like with the side kicks, you want to do about 10 to 15 repetitions. And you're going to do about 3 sets. Now these exercises that are strengthening based, you can do it anywhere between 2 to 3 times per week. Just make sure you give yourself a day of rest in between. If you're feeling pain while you're doing this exercise, just remember that you can always scale it back. You can either decrease the amount of tension that you're experiencing through the band, or you can just shorten up the range of motion. Just go until right before you feel that pain and then you can come back out of it. Now, a little bit of discomfort is okay. Don't be afraid of discomfort, but if it's actually painful, like to the point where it's debilitating or kind of stopping you from continuing the exercise, or if you find that the exercise flares up your symptoms for more than 2 hours or it feels worse the next day, then yeah, take a step back, maybe give it a break and reintroduce it maybe the following week when you got a little bit stronger, and then try it again at the full range. If you're having issues with balancing, it's totally okay to use like a wall for balance, or you can use something like a stick or hold onto a chair. Any of that stuff is totally fine to do. Ideally, you do progress off not using those types of assistance anymore, because you do want to be able to develop the single leg strength and stability so that you could do the activities that you love to do. Like when you're running, you're not holding onto stuff. So you want to be able to train that back into your system. All right, so let's go into our third exercise. All right, so the last exercise we're going to be doing is going to use a foam roller, but we're not going to be using it to do any foam rolling. We're actually going to use a foam roller as a source of instability for the exercise that we'll be doing. This exercise is for the gluteus maximus muscle, and we're doing this to train this muscle for better knee and hip stability. So let's take a look. What we're going to be doing is a foam roller single leg glute bridge. I know it's a pretty long name, but here we go. We're gonna put this foam roller on the floor. Now, ideally you use one that's not spiky. If it has ridges, that's totally fine, but a flat one is preferred. From here, you're going to put the target leg on that foam roller, just supporting it from the midfoot. Then you're going to lie down on your back. You're going to elevate the other leg off the floor and then have your hands on the floor as a base of support. From here, you're going to just simply lift the pelvis up to the ground until the thigh is parallel with your torso, and then you're going to come back down. You should feel these muscles of your posterior chain, including the hamstrings, the glutes, and your erector spinae muscles along the back. Activate. You might even feel your core engaged to stabilize your torso. You're going to do anywhere between 10 to 15 repetitions if you can manage. Now, if this exercise is a little too hard, you can always do it with 2 feet instead. But if that's too easy, you can then also just use your hands and use it to kind of push and lift your body up with a decreased emphasis on that. As you get stronger, you can even do it with no hands once you get to a good level of strength through that gluteus maximus muscle. Now, if you don't have a foam roller, you can always pick one up off of your local store. They run from anywhere between 20 to 30 Canadian dollars. If you have access to a gym, they probably have one as well. You can also use a Bosu ball as another form of instability, or a Swiss ball or stability ball as well, if you have access to that instead. If you don't have access to any equipment, you can of course still do this exercise on the floor. It won't be as unstable, but still better than doing nothing. At least you're still training out that gluteus maximus muscle to control the hip and knee. All right, I hope you all enjoyed this video on 3 strengthening exercises of what you could do for the ITB syndrome. Friendly reminder, you don't want to be foam rolling your ITB, because guess what? It's not going to do much for you. Realistically speaking, it's going to take time for your muscles to strengthen to the point where the pain starts disappearing. You might get some relief right away, to be quite honest, but you're going to need to dedicate some good amount of time and consistency to get that knee strong and get that knee stable. and getting those hips fired up so that you can control your knee a little bit better. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed my content. I'll see everyone next time. See ya.